When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish,
the podcast that's as useless as a Grindr message from a guy with a faceless profile. What you gonna do with that shit? Who are you? Why are you messaging me? What's you?
Say nice abs. Where's your face?
Or like a lot of times it's just a picture of a sunset.
Oh yeah. Okay, picture like when your profile picture has no humans in it. Like that's not helping.
It's not. I'm not gonna fuck that sun.
I'm Mike Johnson.
Unless that son is the son of a hot guy. I'm Kyle Getz.
We're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality, and today we're going to talk about late bloomers.
Late bloomers. The bloomin' onion. When a bloomin' onion shows up to your table late, does Outback Steakhouse still charge you for it?
Probably. Bloomin' onion, that sounds like code for like a butthole that's been wrecked.
It sure does make you weep.
Yeah.
When you're trying to poop. What we're really talking about is people that have come out later in life.
Yeah, which we're going to have a guest.
Mark Traphagen, who is going to join us because he is just that person. He's going to share. He has a lot of interesting shit about him that's beyond just coming out later in life. What?
No, it's just like I've been married twice, divorced twice, didn't come out until I was in my 30s, and like I got nothing on this guy.
And then he comes, Mark comes along and is like, "Well, here you go. What's his story?"
I don't know. We should probably let him tell his story.
Well, okay, but like, who is he?
He's a listener who we sort of bonded over the fact that like our stories are sort of similar, just on different timelines, and he's like gay and out and happy now, but it took like he's in his late 50s or early 60s. We'll have to ask him exactly what his age is, but like he's a later rival to the big gay party.
Yep, but that doesn't make it any less fun.
That's right.
But first, I want to say thank you to.
You just did.
I fucking hate when you do that. It's so annoying. Because one time the first time you did it, it was like while we were talking to a guest, and I didn't understand what you were saying. It was real annoying.
Great.
Okay, I want to say thank you, which is a common way that people phrase it, and we all know what it means, Michael Johnson. So don't be an asshole. Uh-oh, that's not going to work. But to our Patreon supporters, A.E. Coleman and...
A.E. Coleman. Coleman Lantern. Gary Coleman.
It's funny because we recorded an episode we didn't post because something didn't work about the audio.
Yeah, and I was dying.
You were, I guess, so if you follow us on any of our social anything, but Mike had his appendix expunged from his person.
That's right. It was redacted, like the Mueller report.
It was very redacted, and my summary is way better than Barr's, though.
Yeah, I almost died. Sorry we missed an episode. We've only missed like 3 weeks, like ever
in our lives,
I think.
Yeah.
I think surgery is a good reason.
Yeah. You had some exploding items in your body, exploding organs. Oh man, I want an exploding organ in my body. And we actually did, even though it was like days after your surgery, that we still tried to record, but we missed when we were going to be physically together. I was traveling for work. We tried to record over the internet, but the internet didn't like us and it didn't work or something.
I think that was the day I came home from the hospital.
Jesus, Mike. Maybe we just shouldn't have tried. We should have just from the get-go been like,
yeah.
you came out of surgery today. Let's not record. But we're crazy and we tried, but it didn't work. So sorry we missed a week. We're back in action.
But that means we have to do this part again. I'm making the same jokes about A.E. Coleman's name that I did.
Yeah, you didn't find any better jokes since then, did you?
I haven't thought about it since then.
No, okay, yeah, no, it shows. And also thank you to Sam W.
Sam W.
Sam.
That's a weird
W.
last name.
Well, I don't think that's his actual last name.
Sam Waterston from what is that? Law and
True
Order?
Blood? Oh. I don't know who that is. Then.
Is it Law and Order?
I just found like a
Or just
piece
those
of
commercials about old people insurance?
I just found a piece of our food that's sitting here, and I don't know what it is.
Okay.
So I just got weirded out by that.
Just throw it over your shoulder.
Like a Continental's boulder.
Yep.
Thank you, Sam W, for your support.
Thank you, Sam WD-40.
We appreciate you. Mike?
You were right. Sam Waterston is from Law and Order. Also, Grace and Frankie.
Great.
Where he plays a gay.
Oh,
Thanks, Sam Waterston.
for playing a gay. For gaying it up for us.
Gaying it up.
Mike, you have something to say about Patreon.
I do. Is now when it happens?
Yep, now's when you do it.
Okay, great. So,
Did we talk enough about your appendix? Did we
it's
explain
fine. I almost died. I'm not dead. It's fine.
Okay. You didn't. Sure. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I don't have an appendix anymore.
Yeah, okay.
And hopefully,
Won't ever again.
yeah.
Otherwise, that would be weird.
Maybe it's a shitty mutant power if my mutant power is growing appendixes.
Yeah, like grow the most useless thing back that you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that were the case, I would grow back my ex-wife. Burn.
Suck it. Okay.
Or my ex-husband.
Oh, well.
Actually, it's 50-50 which of them is more worthless. Okay. Or useless. Same thing. Great.
Yeah,
On
okay.
to this. So, so at a certain level for Patreon, you can submit 100 words and I will read them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what they is.
Yep.
And you can do it more than once. That's something that I said I was going to be clearer about. It's not like a one shot and it's over. You can send us 100 words as many times as you want to.
Mm-hmm. And we'll manage the
whose turn it is.
Yeah, organizing and all that good stuff. So yeah, send us shit.
Here we go. This is from Cian Hazen. So it's me and my husband's 2-year marriage anniversary tomorrow, May 27th. So for my
we missed, sorry.
So for my 100 words to be read, I would like for y'all to read this, if you would be so kind.
Also, you're reading the opening that
I know.
people are sending, not the 100 words. So it's like,
That's fine.
I mean, I know it's just not what.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's more content.
Yeah. Is that all we're?
You're interrupting.
I know. Isn't that what I do? Isn't that how this
Interrupting
works?
is more content.
It's true. More content. More words. Word.
Quote, Javier, wine comes in at the mouth, and love comes in at the eye. That's all we shall know for truth before we grow old and die. I lift the glass to my mouth. I look at you, and I sigh. William Butler Yeats. All of you, 3001, babe.
Must be an inside joke.
P.S. Thank you for being a steady source of laughter and critical thinking for us. Cian. P.S.S. You can use our names.
That's ideal because we did. Also, we talked about this last time, and I think I've now confirmed that he's not referring to us as. Oh, no. He's not referring to his husband as a steady source of laughter. That is us. That is a steady source of laughter. So I guess it's nice to read things, especially when they are nice things about us.
Yeah, except when people say nice things about us, I don't trust it.
Why? Because of your weird mental issues?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm always just like, what's your game?
Yeah.
What's your angle here?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It's lovely.
Yes, thank you. Also, sorry we missed the day. Sorry Mike's appendix had to get out at that specific time, so we missed your anniversary.
Yep. My appendix burst because I was trying to attempt time travel.
Mm-hmm. But happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Congrats. That's exciting.
To Cian and Javier.
To Cian and Javier.
C and J. J and C.
Do you want to do news?
Yep, let's do some news. Okay, here we go. Happy Pride Month, Kyle.
Happy Pride. Oh, right.
It's June.
It's June. I feel like now is the time
for all good men to come to the aid of their party.
For all good men to come.
Mm-hmm.
And during Pride, where it's great, it's really happy, it's exciting, it's fun, but it can also be a source of I don't know, discomfort or sad. Like for me, it's like also difficult to see like all these hot people running around being all like outgoing when that's not totally me.
And where do they go when it's not Pride?
They
like just the hotness comes. Like I think that they have to spend the rest of the year so that they can
working
look like
to be
that
the hot person they are during Pride Month. Yeah, I think so too. So if you are not the stereotypical gay, meaning you are white with a jacked body and outgoing and whatever, that's still cool too. Mm-hmm. And I hope you also have a great Pride Month, whatever that means to you.
Wow.
What?
It's just so affirming.
You're
very firm.
I'm so firm. I am a firm.
Yep.
I'm a legal firm.
Great.
You should see my briefs. Okay. What are you talking
stuffed?
About? Yes.
Some thick briefs.
Thick briefs, bro.
Okay, so because it's Pride Month, I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of really shitty things that happened the first week of Pride Month this year.
Just because it's Pride Month doesn't mean that we're going to change who we are.
So El Salvadorian asylum seeker Johanna Medina died in ICE custody yesterday, the 1st of June. And she's trans. And apparently she is the 23rd trans person to die in ICE custody.
Shit. Since when?
This year?
Really? That seems unreasonable.
Don't know.
Huh.
23rd person and the second trans person to die while in ICE custody.
Oh, second trans person.
Well, that's what this source says. All right, whatever. A trans asylum seeker died in ICE custody. That's the thing. Like, trans people are everywhere. Gay people are everywhere. And so whenever something is happening to a lot of when shitty things are happening to a lot of people, that's going to include trans, queer. Yeah.
Well, and especially like, asylum seeker, like even though things have not felt great for, gay, and particularly for trans people in this country, there are still places where, fleeing here is a much better option. So that, that sucks to be like trying to escape persecution than die in our shitty, like, I don't get how we have shitty, like, how that many people have died in our custody. It's just.
Yep.
You're right. You've done it.
Yep. You're welcome. So late last year, an autopsy showed that Roxana Hernandez, another trans refugee who died in ICE custody, was likely beaten before her death.
Wait, like by ICE or by like what?
The 33-year-old Hernandez, an asylum seeker from Honduras, died in May of 2018. Just ICE is fucking scary, man.
Yeah,
they can do whatever they want to as long as they're within 100 miles of the border, which we're 100 miles from the border here. They could come and rape Dan and we would have no recourse.
So what are we talking about?
ICE.
Ice in my ass?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Is that a thing? Do people do that?
Put ice in their ass?
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's the intense sensation. Feels kind of good. It melts. And
I barely want to hold an iced drink in my hand, much less
put ice up your ass.
That, yeah. Interesting.
Huh. Moving on. More terrible things.
Okay, great.
So, Friday evening, May 31st. So narrowly missing the deadline to be in Pride Month, but whatever. 2 rainbow flags were deliberately set on fire outside an LGBT bar in Harlem, New York.
Wow.
Police are investigating it as a possible hate crime. The Alibi Lounge in Harlem is reportedly the only black-owned LGBT lounge in New York. 2 pride flags were found burning on the ground outside just after midnight on Friday, which would make it Saturday, which would make it the 1st. So there, I don't know. Anyway, Alexei Minko, the Alibi Lounge's owner, said, quote, "In 2019, someone literally destroyed a symbol of an entire group of people. That's the shocking part of it."
Or they completely misunderstood the word flamer.
Yeah. Security footage shows a man crouching as he sets the flag on fire. Because it was raining heavily, Minko believes that he must have used an accelerant. Minko extinguished the flags by stomping on them. No one was injured.
I just, I know this kind of hatred isn't logical, but it's just that's so much work that you have to put in of going to get the flag and taking it down, and you probably brought with you some kind of gas or something, and you're in the rain, so you're or you
I wish I cared about something that much.
I know, yeah, that's a lot of effort to put in toward. I mean, they're actively working towards their goals, which I guess is, not all of us do that, but that's just so much.
Yeah,
it's stupid. And naps are cool too. You can be full of hate and take a nap as well, and it's way easier. It's so crazy to me how people can have that much hate and need to show everyone how much hate they have by doing those things. It's just dude, just chill out, dude.
Yep. We're here. We're queer. Get over it.
Yeah. Fuck you.
I never thought I'd actually identify with that phrase, but
yeah.
It's true.
It is.
One more horrible thing. The first day of Pride. So a Catholic bishop has been met with widespread condemnation online after warning fellow Catholics against supporting or attending Pride Month events. Bishop Thomas J. Tobin, the bishop for Providence, Rhode Island, made the comments in a tweet on Saturday, the 1st of June. He wrote, quote, "A reminder that Catholics should not support or attend LGBTQ Pride Month events held in June. They promote a culture and encourage activities that are contrary to Catholic faith and morals. They are especially harmful for children."
Yeah,
it's fucking rich. A Catholic fucking priest talking about how we need to protect the children from the gays. Let's tally up that scoreboard, fuckers.
Exactly. I cannot believe how the church has not gotten more blowback. Bad choice of words.
Just from altar boys.
Oh God. But yeah, how do you? It's just these misillusionment.
Yes.
Sure. That we could pretend that you're religious so you have the moral high ground.
Right.
That's the only reason they get to keep saying shit and we keep believing them and they keep getting to have this pedestal to stand on. It's just because we give that to them, and they're fucking up the country, and they're fucking boys, and they're just it's so gross that they get to then turn around and talk about morals. It's just
I don't know how
gross.
many, but I think it's a lot of people are religious so that they can feel better about how fucked up and shitty their life is. It gives them a sense of being better than other people who don't adhere to their religion. Whatever, my God loves me and you're going to hell. They somehow don't get to, they don't have to analyze their value as a human or what impact they're having on their fellow humans. They just get to feel righteous and awesome.
Yeah. Man, I wish I got to feel righteous and awesome all the time.
Right.
Man,
right.
That's what my meds are working on.
Yep.
They're not. It's trying.
Well,
They're
religion
trying.
is the opiate of the masses, or opium of the masses. That's an often misquoted saying.
Oh, really? I've never heard it.
Really?
Did you just misquote it to me right now?
People often say religion is the opiate of the masses, and he actually wrote opium of the masses. I think that was Marx. We should look that up.
Or
anyway.
we could not and just move on. I also should get some opium.
Opium?
Yeah, it's Pride Month.
Put it in your masses.
Wow. All right. So happy Pride, everyone. Everything's fucked.
Yep.
He wrote, Die Religion ist das Opium des Volkes. Volkes?
Volkes. Yeah.
So opium of the people.
Yeah. Marx, right?
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, Karl Marx.
Yeah, nailed it.
Just like Jesus.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
That's it for news this week.
Okay, well...
Just 3 shitty things about Pride. I had another story. It's equally depressing. I'll just bring it up next week.
Okay, great. I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Should we... I mean, there's got to be happy things. but it's also Pride, and that means we get to let our fag flag fly.
Yeah. Well, apparently Richard Madden might be dating that dude.
Who's Richard Madden?
He was
John Madden's son?
He played.
He could go all the gay.
Interesting. He was Robb Stark on Game of Thrones, which is why you don't know who he is.
Oh, okay, got it.
But that boy hot. And he plays Elton John's manager / lover in the new Rocketman movie.
Oh, interesting.
And then he refuses to talk about his relationships. So this rumor has started that he's dating this boy because they've been seen together on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he is just like, I don't talk about my relationships. So, of course, everybody's like, oh, he real
that
gay
must
then.
mean you're... Yeah.
Anyway.
Huh.
He's not gay. Which is part of the problem with Rocketman. The Rocketman movie is two straight guys playing like Elton fucking John and his queer ass manager, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we haven't even talked about that, or like, you know, when Queen came out, Bohemian Rhapsody came out, we talked about that a lot, and I don't know, this one should have been just as big on our radar, but I don't know.
Maybe it was a mistake to do it so close to Bohemian Rhapsody. Like,
I just assume it's like trying to be like, oh, they're telling a gay story, we gotta find a gay story to get out there. But people like Elton John is one of those, like, he can be super queer, but like then also everyone is like likes his music, so they can just deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when like homophobic people watch Will and Grace, they're like, oh, that's funny, fuck you, you know, like.
Yeah.
I feel like Elton John fits that as well for people, so they can target straight audiences and not be... Ooh, I'm so jaded. Also, but that's great that these movies are being made and stories being told. Yay, Pride Month. Happy Pride. Woohoo.
Happy Pride, everybody.
Woohoo, happy Pride. Happy Pride.
Get fucked.
Get fucked. fuck. Fucking your ass. It was really sweet in our Facebook group. I don't want to say his name, but someone posted like, Happy Pride, because, you know, this is one of the places I can post this and, you know that it's okay to post.
Oh, that boy from Russia.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you like literally can't post it anywhere else.
Yeah, no, that's scary. So it's really nice that it's really sweet that there is this community of people in our group that understand, you know, the things we're saying, like you don't have to be a stereotype, and you can be in the closet, and like that's just as important, and this is your space to talk about things and be super gay and do what you know, be the real you. So it's really cool to see that community grow and develop.
Gay.
It's very gay. It's very gay. Meaning happy. It's a happy place, I think. Happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
Yeah, that's it for news. I'll do more next week.
So is there anything we want to talk about before Mark gets here about late bloomers?
What does a late bloomer mean to you? Like, in your parlance, am I a late bloomer because I came out at 30?
Parlance?
That's a word.
I don't doubt it. It's just, why would you say that?
Because I don't know.
What's that mean?
Did I use it right?
Like, parle français, is that like a French word that means in my talk? In my talkies?
Parlance, a way or manner of speaking. Vernacular.
Oh my God, I parlanced this dude the other day. No. Yeah, to me, you came out later, so yes.
I mean, is that just like a late bloomer is anybody who bloomed later than you?
Oh, I feel like everyone thinks, anyone who didn't come out when they were a kid, like, thinks of themselves as being a late bloomer. Like, I mean, I think to some degree all gay people are late bloomers because if you skipped over all the dating and puberty and figuring out your feelings about people and had to do that again when you came out, then it feels like you're a late bloomer. I mean, compared to the general public.
Yeah.
But as far as like being gay, like coming out, like I feel a little late, but like not super late compared to other people. So I don't feel like I'm a super late bloomer. But yeah, I definitely, like, my perception is that you came out when you're 30. Mm-hmm. That 30 is later.
Great.
Yeah.
Technically, I was 29. I
Is that important to you, like the distinction between 20s and 30s?
It's important because that's your Saturn return.
what is
What's
That's
that?
when the planet Saturn returns to the same position in the sky as when you were born, and it's statistically when the most like divorces and weddings and babies and like when you turn 29, people often have like cathartic life changes. And again, whatever 29 plus 29, 58, like every 29 years.
Great. Mumbo jumbo.
Astrology.
Astrology mumbo jumbo that means nothing. Got it.
Yeah.
This goes in my like wheelhouse of like religion, astrology, Neil Patrick Harris. None of them have an effect on me.
Screw the position of Saturn. I want to know about the position of Uranus.
Upward facing.
Downward dog. Do you feel like you're a late bloomer?
I used to. I really used to a whole bunch. And now, no. I don't think there is a right time. I don't think that there's a ahead or behind. I think that there's just like whatever on track is for you. And
I think that's like trying to get to the moral of the story early. That's the thing about that I have to keep telling myself for when I came out is like, I came out when I was ready. I didn't come out because I wasn't ready. If I was ready earlier, I would have come out earlier. So, I think a lot of people, including myself, are very hard on themselves for when they came out and why didn't I earlier? And it's like, well, I didn't know all the information I know now, and I wasn't, strong enough and confident enough and, felt good enough to be able to. So, hopefully people can take away, like, you did it at the right time for you.
yeah.
And what are you going to do now? And now you get to enjoy it.
Yep.
But we'll see. It'll be interesting to hear Mark's perspective, having come out later than both of us.
Yeah. So when we come back, we'll have Mark with us.
Yeah.
And until then, we won't. But
And then for several more seconds, we won't have him with us.
we're going to take a break.
Yeah.
So some amount of time will go by for us. For everybody else, it's going to happen now.
Very quickly. Is this important technical distinctions that people want to know?
I just, time is weird.
Time is very weird. And now you all know. Now you're on the inside. You have the insider knowledge.
Or what if you and I only exist when the podcast is on?
I feel like a part of me. That's true.
Great.
I don't know.
So should we take a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
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 This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Mike, it's up to you then.
So are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. We're here with Mark Traphagen.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back. You're back for the first time.
How does that work?
Whom knows?
Who knows?
Welcome, Mark.
I'm whom to be here.
You flew in all the way from where today?
Gosh, it seems like Zanzibar, but it was Durham, North Carolina is home.
Yeah, and boy, are your arms tired.
And don't call me Shirley. Just doing all those.
Check.
Yep, got it. And so we gave a little bit of who you are, and people know we're talking about late bloomers, but will you, in your own words, which I think are the only words you have, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I will be turning 62 in June.
Happy birthday!
June. That's now.
That's currently.
Yeah, but that's not the truth. The truth is I'm
Just lie? You're getting off to the good start, just lying out. Okay.
I was all ready to correct you there. I was like, I'm pretty sure your birthday's in July.
It's in July. God, he knows more about me than I know. Why didn't Dan introduce me?
Yeah.
Dan, invent a story of Mark.
It'll be so much better.
When did you come out?
Publicly, just in this fall, basically. First as one does to family. I have 2 daughters, 2 grown daughters, 6 grandkids, all of whom know now, and then around the same time, 2 close friends. And just expanding circles. And these days, I'm in an industry where I happen to be pretty public on social media and things like that. I'm very open. It's on all my social media. So whoever runs across me pretty much knows by now.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah.
Showed up late, but the wine has not run out. So.
You're just on gay time. That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. What? Okay. Yeah. Talk to us about what was it like coming out to your family? We'll start there.
I think that's part of why I'm a late bloomer, because, and I wasn't consciously calculating this or thinking about it, but it was like I had to wait for my family to be ready too. My family is so important to me, and we've been through a lot of changes over the years. And this is something we can get into if you want to at some point, but part of the reason I was in the closet for so long, probably the primary reason, is we were very deeply into conservative evangelical Christianity. We were deep, and
Wow.
that was what.
How many inches? No.
Always the question with you guys.
We're very predictable.
I thought you were just going to say like North Carolina, which that's
we've
not
only been
exactly,
there. We've only been there for 10 years, and the part of North Carolina I'm in Durham is really one of the reasons I'm out.
Okay.
So it's quite the opposite of what you expect. But really, it was the evangelical Christianity that put me in the closet or helped me be there in the first place. And we can talk about that a little bit if you like. But now my family has changed and evolved and grown from those places. And it felt safe this past fall to come out to them. So the short answer is that everyone, my wife, as I said, is married to a woman for 40 plus years. I have 2 grown daughters, 6 grandkids. And each of them was very affirming and supportive and happy for me, and continues to be. Just quick funny story was that when I wanted to tell my 2 daughters in person, and one lives in Durham nearby me, the other one lives in Maine. So the Durham daughter obviously got it first. Took her out to dinner. Whole scenario happened. Finally, I waited till the main course because. I figured if she's going to throw the food in my face or the wine in my face and walk out like that, at least I would have eaten most of the meal. But there was a whole kind of thing that happened as I finally said it, and she got a few tears in her eyes and looked at me and then smiled and got up and walked around the table and grabbed my hands and then put her hands on my shoulder, leaned in and kissed me and said, "Dad, I love you. I always will. I affirm you. I'm glad you could tell me, and nothing will ever change that." It was a whole ritual statement. It's like a month later, I'm in Maine telling my other daughter exactly, action for action, word for word, like it was written in the script. So I'm doing when the second daughter is doing it, I'm having everything I can do to stop from cracking up, because I think oh, these are sisters.
And did you anticipate that reaction from them? Did you fear for a different reaction?
That's a great question. It's so hard to anticipate, right? I felt like I didn't for a moment think like that they would utterly reject me or I'd be out of their lives or anything like that. I thought it might take longer for them to adjust to it, and it certainly has. I mean, there's still an adjustment that's gone through, things to be worked through, but the level at which that their immediate love and acceptance was what I hoped for and what happened. So it was delightful for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like no matter how confident you are in your family, your friends, in their beliefs, you always have this fear of potentially being rejected, or I feel like that's something that every gay person has to hold on to a little bit until they actually do it.
And I don't want to soft sell it, because again, even though everyone, my wife, my 2 daughters were very affirming, accepting, the family still had to work through a lot.
Sure.
There's that kind of there's the kind of the initial yay celebration and oh, we're finally out and open and everything's clear. And then there's what does this mean? What did the last 40, 50 years mean? Who are we? Who are you? It's there's a lot of stuff to work out after that.
How do you, I feel like something that a lot of us have to deal with, I had to deal with, is kind of looking back at your life leading up to coming out, and hey, I dated girls. I haven't been in your shoes of or Mike's having a wife, or I haven't had a family, but I still had to go back and think why did I date girls, or why did I do there's a big kind of look back and reflection. I would imagine that would be even bigger for you looking back. Is that true, or how are you viewing kind of everything that led you here in your life to this point? And
Yeah, there's a real examination of that goes on, looking back, and how did I get in the closet? How did I do everything that I did? How did I get to where I am today? And I'm a little wary of even doing that because I'm very cognizant of how much we recreate memories, and memories get distorted over the years like that. But so thinking back, it was...
Whoever said hindsight's 20/20 is full of shit.
Oh, my God.
It's just not true.
Yeah,
They've
no.
never been on a criminal case where a eyewitness comes in and says the person's hair was red when it was really blue.
Yeah, or anybody that's in your life that you're telling a story from like a year ago, and no, that was with Fred, that wasn't with Shirley, that was that was here, that wasn't there. Yeah. But even still, I feel like I can remember back, and this brings us back kind of to the origin story. I knew from a very early age, pre-pubescent, that I was different. That I was, when we were watching a movie, it was the guy I was interested in, more than the female love interest. And
which guy do you remember most? Is there an actor that you were like, oh, he's
Rock Hudson?
Yeah, that's okay. That's a stock answer from my age group, right?
Yeah,
no,
right.
yeah. Well,
The Rock?
Yeah,
The Rock,
Dwayne The Rock Hudson.
Kate Hudson and Rock Johnson's son. Wait, who?
Whoever was playing Tarzan at whichever story of my life I was in, pretty much. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but just seeing that, and then when we came into puberty and adolescence, and realizing that, and yet not having, there was never a time back then, because this is the 70s, when I thought oh, I'm gay. It was just confusion, because mixed with wonder, and I've told this story publicly now. I do public storytelling. Business Events is an event that I want to mention is really awesome, back in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, called Outfluence now, started by some friends of mine. Good friend Sam Peterson, who will come up a little bit later because he's very special in my life, and a woman named Christy, who started this storytelling event called Outfluence. It's queer storytelling, and it's just in a comedy club in Chapel Hill. And so I got to tell this story on stage at the inaugural Outfluence, basically my kind of my coming out story, and starting back then and realizing it was the 70s, and whatever I was, I didn't have a name for it, but I knew I couldn't be that. I was terrified of it. And I went to a church youth group leader, and that was the only person that I told any of this. And I told everything. And I told about an evening with my next door neighbor, Kenny, on a sleepover.
Kenny's a hot name.
Oh, Kenny. Kenny was a hot boy. But it ended up very creepy, because we did stuff together that evening, and then the next day, he cut me out of his life. He wanted nothing to do with me and wouldn't even talk to me. And so that drove me to the youth group leader, who said oh, no, you cannot be that. You're not that person. And I said, yes, tell me how to not be that person. And that was where it started.
Whatever happened to Kenny? Because I think that's the other way that this goes, right? That Kenny had a great time and loved it too much, and that's why I had to shut it down, right? In my internal narrative, Kenny's soup's gay, and whatever happened to him.
He's not, or at least not by appearances.
Right.
It was really hard to track him down because he's not public, but when I told that story, I realized I had the same thought, what happened to Kenny? And through friend of a friend of a friend from high school, finally found a Facebook profile, because I'm obviously not going to give Kenny's last name, but combined with Kenny, it's super common name. There's hundreds of that name on Facebook, and finally just figured out this has got to be him, just by mutual connections. And married to a woman, nothing of evidence. We totally lost contact. So that's all I know.
Yep.
So it sounds like a combination of friend and religion, those two experiences, pushing in the closet. Anything else that you've kind of identified in looking back that kept you in the closet until now? Well,
when I plunged in, I came into high school, my father had left our family when I was 11. One of my most traumatic memories of my life was being 11 years old in San Antonio, Texas, and my mother was in the hospital, and I got called into my parents' bedroom with my dad lying next to his girlfriend, who would become his second wife. drunk and calling me into the bedroom to tell me that I would soon be the man of the family. And I was the oldest of 4 in the family. And I did not want to be, as I told the story on stage at the Outfluence event, I said, like, I wasn't even sure I wanted to be a man, let alone be the man of the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I came into high school. We moved to New Jersey, which I call my hometown because that's where I, spent my adolescence, and it was the only place I ever lived for years at a time in my childhood. So in New Jersey, came into high school, just a very shy, very unpopular kid, and was looking for family and daddy and that. And the Christian kids were accepting. That's the thing I'll say about them. Like,
that's how they get you.
But they were awesome kids, and a few of them are still friends, good friends to this life. And
Sure.
and they welcomed me in, and I suddenly had friends. I had a thing, and I wanted to be into their thing, and I wanted to go in all the way. So when the youth group leader, found out and said, like, this is the way out, he said he really did gay conversion therapy on me. He was, he should get a Nobel Prize or something, because he was decades ahead of his time.
What's the fucked up version of a Nobel Prize? Like a Hitler Prize or something?
Well, there's an Ig Nobel Prize. So that already exists. It's for bad science. But
Yep.
so he just told me, act straight and you'll be straight, which is what a lot of the gay conversion therapy programs tell you to do like that. So
Fake it till you make it, baby.
yeah, exactly. And I was in on the program. Okay, and so.
The other thing they do is give you, like, they show you pictures of hot naked dudes and give you electric shocks.
Well, I didn't get that part of it, thank God. But electric shocks, that sounds...
Yeah, where on your body?
Got Dan's attention.
Can you plug that right up to my nipples and just give me a low dosage?
What are we talking about?
I don't know. This is how Gayish works. We're not too sure.
Amateur conversion therapy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, no, there wasn't that part of it. But yeah, so I did, like, within that group. And the woman who would become my wife was also very much in that culture, very similar background to me, father gone from the family. And she felt like, okay, I'm in this conservative evangelical Christianity thing. My duty as a woman is I have to find a man, get married, and have children. And Mark's the least jerky of all the guys in our little Christian group. So I had that going for me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it happened. Like, I pursued her, and she, wanted nothing but to be friends. But by the end of high school, she kind of said, like, okay. And we got married right after high school.
Wow.
So,
All right, so what did you think you were doing? That's a big question, but
that's a great question. It really is, because again, this is where you're going back in the memories and trying to recreate, like, what were you thinking at the time? As much as I can recall it and think about it, I can't remember, like, even though I embraced what my youth group leader said to me and went into, like, once I got into it, like, I convinced myself that it worked. Like, almost the next day, like, oh, good, I'm straight now. I'm normal. I can be normal. And so I had that in my head. And I thought, like, and when I felt some kind of connection and attraction to my wife, the woman who would become my wife, I thought, like, yes, it worked. This is good. And so really the next 40 years were, good things. We built a life together. We had 2 wonderful daughters and went through a lot, but we stayed together through a lot of shit and came out the other side. And through all that, I'd see a hot guy and I'm still like, whoa, look at that direction. And I had fantasies and, all that. But, the Christian thing, it's like pray hard, and that's not really who I am. And it's just sinful desires, and you just press it down and press it down and press it down. So I think I pretty much bought the narrative for most of that time is like, yes, I have these desires, but it's not who I really am.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Is that you too, Mike? Is that...
Yeah. I mean...
You just made some noises that seemed like they were reflective and thoughtful.
Well, one thing...
You just get a hard on or something.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an appendix anymore, so I don't have. I'm still reeling from the pain of that.
Your organs are still adjusting.
Yeah, I was so excited to come here and finally meet Kyle and Mike, and there's less Mike.
There's a little.
Chip.
We could all use a little bit less, Mike.
Even me.
That's fine.
Yeah, take it. Take whatever you want. No. I remember when Alyssa and I started dating, and I lost my P and the V virginity to her, and that orgasm, the first orgasm that I had with her, set me coming out of the closet back 5 or 10 years.
Oh, you're like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can
It still
put a
feels
load
good.
in that bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Orgasms feel good no matter what.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Then it sort of leads to this. Well, I got this under control. Like, no problem.
Yeah.
We're banging. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's just really, I think, we want so badly to be normal. That's the unfortunate word that gets attached to it. Mm-hmm. We want so badly to be normal. We don't look at what we're sacrificing to get there, to be that. We end up just shoehorning ourselves into this identity, so just for the sake of normalcy.
And change is hard. Like, or being atypical is hard. So regardless if it's being gay or not being interested in sports when you're a straight dude, or like whatever it is, being what you would consider not normal and telling people that and having to be different feels hard. Like, until you get the benefit of getting to be and feel who you are, all you see is the challenges blocking you from being there, and that sucks to have to go through them.
Yep.
So I think,
conformity has a lot of rewards to it, right?
Yeah.
It's a feedback loop. With when you're in a tribe, when you're in a group, it feels good to conform. You get brownie points. You get patted on the head for.
Totally different context, but a really good friend of mine and I were talking just the other night about how some people find being in the military really comforting because you don't have choices to make. You are like, here is an identity that's thrust upon you that you can latch onto, and your life is very prescripted, and there's a weird comfort in that.
And you're surrounded by hot guys. You've got to be jacked to be in the military, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, if G.I. Joe taught me nothing else. Yeah. So, what?
No, I'm just thinking about
He's
G.I. Joe now. And dressing that doll. And, okay.
Were you out to yourself then? I'm talking about me and not about you, and that's weird. But like, the narrative I tell myself now is that I knew I was out, just like you said. Like, not out. I knew I was gay from early on. Like, man, all my classmates seem to be into chicks, and I'm like not feeling that. But it's going to happen any day now, or whatever. But I stood on my wedding day to her, knowing full well, out to myself, I'm super gay. What the fuck am I doing? Right?
No, that's my experience was very different. I think I had convinced myself to a lot more deeper level by that time.
Okay. So your self-brainwashing worked better.
Yeah. Every memory of my wedding day, of our honeymoon, everything was like, yes, this is, and it was not, I can't remember any feelings of like, I pulled that over everybody's eyes. It was just like, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is meant to be doing. It's with the right person. I really love this person. It's good. So I was pretty convinced. It was really just, like I said earlier, it was all along the way, the attraction never going away. That was always gnawing back there. Like, what is that? Why does that keep happening? Why does that guy walking down the street still turn my head? Why does somebody taking off their shirt in that movie, still get my attention?
Yeah, what movie?
The Rock.
Dwayne The Rock Hudson?
Yep.
Go ahead.
What then, how did you get from that point to then coming out? what changed or what happened or how did you...
The internet.
I was jerking off so much to gay porn.
It was
that
Gayish episode 1. I said like, oh,
I hope we turn people. That would be my dream. If you yourself have found yourself being turned by us, please let us know.
Oh, no, the truth is it took 5 episodes. But no, so it's a whole circle of things that happened concurrently.
Spell hole.
So and now I know I'm on Gayish.
No, sorry, you're serious. You're serious things. Okay.
Yeah. So so we reached a point through our whole kind of religious evolution where my wife and I both came to a place where we started asking questions about our faith, about religion, like more and more questions. Part of that was my wife got involved in the science world. She got a physics degree at UVA, and we just started having questions, and it got to the place where we were annoying our church leadership so much that they kept saying to us, "You guys are pretty smart. You should go to seminary. They'll answer all your questions." And so that was my midlife crisis, or our midlife crisis, is about 15 years ago. So in our late 40s, we packed up everything, left Charlottesville, Virginia, where we were both teachers in a Christian school, and moved up to Philadelphia and went to a conservative Reformed seminary.
Oh, you did it.
We did it.
Oh,
we were there
shit.
5 years. I have a Master of Arts in Religion in Biblical Theology from Westminster Theological Seminary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Thank you very much.
Damn.
Yeah. So
That was a lot of words.
yeah,
I know.
my wife has 2 degrees from there, so it's something else she's more smart than me in.
Wait, so okay, let's dive into this evangelical Christianity thing a little bit.
Yeah. Because I was going to say that it's because of that falling apart for us that leads to my coming out. But
So you had to lose your religion.
yeah.
But were you a Bible thumping, gay hating evangelical?
Yep.
Like this secret that you were harboring?
Yeah.
Did that? There's that whole thing about like the more outspokenly homophobic somebody is, the more likely they are a closeted homosexual.
Oh, yeah. Were you
right?
a homophobe?
Like, were you part of that? Were you? I think that's a valid question.
That wasn't supposed to be funny.
I still feel real icky around you guys. So
That's not anything about being homophobic.
That's just Kyle.
I'm just gross. No, were you like, did you display anti-gay behaviors or...
for a period of time, we were certainly in churches and segments of Christianity that were openly anti-gay. Toward the endish time, like when we went to seminary, that church, the last churches we were in, we're probably more of the variety of the churches you hear about, like, like, we love everyone. Come and join us. If you sat down and really counseled with the pastor, he'd tell you, like, well, no, that's that Bible says that's sinful. But,
we're fine with you as long as you don't
they're not
fuck
gonna,
dudes and...
They're not out on the street, God hates fags. And I was never really in a, sign-waving God hates fags church like that. But certainly, it was not acceptable and in the churches we were in. Yeah.
So then...
I'm just like, I think I asked Joseph this, but I don't remember what his answer was. So I'll ask you. In your personal exegesis, yeah, that's a good word, Kyle. It's a power vocab word right there.
I know. Mike's smarter than you. He's just trying to show you
I know what
that.
he's talking about.
Is the Bible anti-gay? Like,
do I think that now or?
Yeah, no, I like.
Okay,
that's what I.
Oh yeah, okay. So it's complicated. What I've come to, and part of why it fell apart for us was in seminary, in a conservative seminary, what we literally heard in some classes was, you get deep into stuff. I mean, we read the Bible in Hebrew and Greek, and you get into stuff and people are saying like, yeah, there's some issues here and there's some really difficult stuff. And you probably shouldn't discuss this with your congregation if you become a pastor someday because it'll just confuse people. And, you need to know this. But that was when, like, most of my classmates are writing down, like, yeah, got that. That's how you handle this in your church. And I'm like, wait a minute. So you come to realize, like, the Bible really is a bunch of competing theologies and ideas. It was put together, as we mostly know, over many hundreds of years by people in very different situations, and different classes of society. So,
And the stuff that made it into the Bible or didn't was just like a vote.
Yeah.
You took a vote. Should this be in the Bible?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Really?
Yep. Motion passed. Great.
Yeah.
It's in the Bible now. Done.
so probably my most progressive professor.
The Council of Trent? No, the Council of...
That was one of them. Yeah. Let's not.
Okay, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Mike.
We lost Kyle a long time ago.
I'm just thinking about how hot Trent is.
I'll sit on his council.
Trent.
So, there was just, I think there are, I was going to say the professor who was probably the most progressive in my seminary, and was to the point where he was later ousted by that seminary.
Too progressive?
When somebody, he's too progressive for the
Shit.
seminary like that. Because he wrote a book that tried to honestly deal with some of these situations and say, like, there's a lot of complicated stuff in here that's not easy to answer, and we just answer it too easy.
Yeah.
And that got him in trouble.
I bet he refused to rape children.
I bet he wore a cotton poly blend.
Crazy.
Certainly hope so. But I remember one day a student asking him outright in class, like, was Jesus opposed to homosexuality? Because you often hear like Jesus never said anything about it, which is true. So, there's only a couple of passages that seem to mention it in the Bible.
He did wander around in the desert with a bunch of single dudes for a while.
Yeah.
Like, that's
He
not
wore a
not
loincloth.
gay.
So, why are all of our representations of Jesus so hot?
So skinny and sexy. He's my ideal pride body. Sorry. Okay.
So,
What did he say?
But what he said, his answer was, well, Jesus was a first century Jew, and probably so homosexuality wasn't acceptable, and moved on. It was a very politic answer at the time, because the seminary would have said, like, of course Jesus was against, he's the Son of God, so he would be against it. And it was just like,
Hung out with prostitutes, though.
right. So it's all that to
And
say,
a dude named Peter.
And lepers.
Yeah. Okay.
All equally. Those are all the same kind of thing.
Yep, great.
Okay.
we should move on from the theology.
Well, okay, so dealing with all the religion and kind of accepting and moving on from religion sounds like it was important, but did you say it was 15 more years before you, like, between that and you coming out?
More or less, yeah, but it began the process. So the steps that I can see are, we by the time we got our degrees in seminary, we knew we were on our way to no longer believing any of this. It took another year and a half. Once we graduated, we moved to Durham to be near our oldest daughter, and we knew, like, we were that was coming to an end, that they were of believing any of that stuff. And so there was that. And then for me personally, it was Durham. So Durham, North Carolina is this wonderful, weird, progressive sea of little ink blot of blue in the middle of a very red state. And it's just a wonderful, art and music and everything. And so I plunged into the music community there. And when you're in Durham, if you get into the music community, you are in the queer community.
Yeah. It's not just
Go
Durham.
hand in hand.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So for the first time in my life, I had friends. I had queer people that that were real to me and were wonderful to me and that I loved. And I began to get this picture of, like, oh, there's a way that what I felt all my life could be me, and it could be me. And it still took years. So, we've as of February, we lived in Durham for 10 years now. So it took almost all of that 10 years. And from that point on, it was no longer about, I'm going to go to hell, or, God's going to hate me, or anybody's going to hate me. It was just, the only thing that held on at that point was just the fear of disrupting life.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you guys understand that very much. Like, what repercussions is this going to have? How is this going to affect everybody? Like, what right do I have to just, like, turn my whole family upside down and everything and all of our history? So maybe I should just go to the grave with this secret and, it'll be fine.
What do you think about that now? I mean, I think that it's probably a very common thing where people think, well, I can't completely change my family dynamic, or I need to be here for my kids. So now, what's your thought about that question or that fear?
That gets complicated, right? It's like the whole question of coming out. We got the Harvey Milk, like everybody needs to come out. And then you guys have talked about this a lot on the show here, that it's not that easy, everybody, because there's this, if it was just your own life, awesome, but it affects other people's lives and people that you care about. And so it finally came down to, I don't know, just growing. It's hard to know, like, the whole psychology of why I finally felt like part of it was my wonderful partner, my wife, was being able to be totally open about it to her. And then for her to come to a place of the girls need to know, and it's your life, and you need to live this if you want to live it. And she began to see the conviction that I had about coming out. And here's, for me, this is not the only thing, but it is a large part of it. Why am I out now? A large part of it is I came to realize I come from a place of tremendous privilege. And you guys have talked about this too. We're all cis white male. And in my case, now, I'm in an industry where the vast majority of people are very supportive of me. They're fine with me being this way. I'm, my friends, my family, I live in a community that's very accepting of it. So in the present political climate, in the stuff that's happening today, I just feel like, Harvey Milk. I'm somebody who needs to be out and vocal for the people who can't be, and to represent. So that was part of it.
Yep. Well, and it makes a measurable impact, right? It's like the number one thing that correlates with support for gay marriage is just the answer to the question, do you have a gay person in your life? A friend or family member who is gay. Mm-hmm. That pegs with, do you support gay rights, gay marriage?
Absolutely.
Because there's a humanization factor. You can hate an idea easily. It's hard to hate a person.
Yeah.
That's some truly evil shit to hate a person.
Yeah.
After,
especially a person or a friend or a family member or something.
I have a brother who's changed significantly in the last 8 months since I came out to him.
Yeah.
Like homophobic before?
Well, no, Dale, I love you. But even Dale would probably say, the way he would put it is like, before you came out to me, Mark, like gays were kind of, icky.
Icky? I feel like icky is kind of the there's some.
Here's how I feel.
Intangible. they are, but for different reasons than you even know. No, I feel like that's just the I can't put a finger on it, but you can put a finger in it. But I put my finger in it and it's still icky. But I can't describe that. I just have not seen this thing and it's weird and seems kind of gross to me, or I can't picture myself doing it, so it feels gross. I feel like a lot of people have that feeling, and that should be okay for people to say and talk about, because that helps. To know that it's not about the Bible or it's not about whatever. It's good to know, it just feels icky to you. Okay, you may need to meet a gay person, or you might need to And
it changed so fast for my brother. Suddenly, his older brother, who he loves and respects and looks up to, is one of them. Mm-hmm. And the cognitive shift was amazingly fast, and cycled through a lot of other things in his life. I think, just we talk more deeply and more honestly and more wonderfully than we ever have in many, many years now. And
it seems, I would guess, are you able, I'm going to put words in your mouth, but it sounds good to me. It seems like you could be
Kyle,
more
there's
genuine.
Many things you could put in there.
This is one of the few things I'm about to put in your mouth, words. Stay tuned for the rest of them. No, I would assume that you could be yourself more genuinely to him now.
Oh, yeah.
And that seems like it would play a role in your relationship then, being able to be close to him.
And there's something, it's funny. Someone who's very dear to me now, my Sam, who's somebody who's come through addiction, what we think of as real addiction, drugs, alcohol, and things like that. On one of our first times together, asked me, have you ever had an addiction in your life you had to overcome? And the moment he said it, I knew what the answer was. Yes, deception, lying. Like, I was addicted to lying. In not just about this, not just about my sexuality, but, you know, in so many, it was my instinctual, it was one of the things that my poor wife hated the most about me, because she just knew I just constantly lied about the stupidest things. And what I came to realize in that moment was, I'm not lying anymore. I was like, I never lied. But I like suddenly, like, it's so much easier to be honest about everything.
Yeah.
You know, not just about this one thing.
I have the same thing where I feel like I will lie about the tiniest things, like, and that's gotten way better. It's way different now, but in the past, it's just like, it's easier if someone's talking to me and I don't want to talk to them, I'm going to lie about the answer to this question just so I don't have to talk to you, or just so I don't, like, weird little things that I would just always, that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Hiddenness. And I don't, this is glad we're talking about, because I don't hear this talked about much.
Same.
You know, that the closet is something that contains a lot of things in your life, not just your sexuality, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I mean, especially, like, I mean, a more direct thing is like my interest in, like, things like music, or, like, all the interests. It's like, you know, those are not your orientation, but they feel so connected to your orientation about liking female pop music, like that I would lie about that. And it's like, if you're lying about who you're attracted to and a lot of your interests and passions, then of course, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, of course it makes sense that you're lying about so many other things, because everything, I was always just trying to protect myself, and I guess it makes sense that I lied about everything.
but I never connected it until it stopped. And I realized, like when Sam asked me that question, I realized, like, whoa, like, this has changed something significant in my whole being, not just, you know, coming out was a lot more significant for me in my health and well-being and development as a human being than I thought it would be. I thought it was one, I told a story at Outfluenced again. I said, like I thought when I came out that I was opening, I thought I was just opening a closet, you know, and then you open the closet and say, like, oh, there's a whole room out here. And then, you know, and then, oh my gosh, there's a whole house. And you just, like, you realize, like, and all the doors are open. That's kind of what happened.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned Sam. Can you talk a little bit about Sam?
Yeah. So
Who's Sam?
Sam is somebody who's become very special in my life. And
What word do you use? Do you use
that's something we've been
no
talking
word?
about.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, like, we're dating, I guess. Like,
Are we gonna force the DTR conversation?
No.
Hey Sam, let Mark know. Do you want to be boyfriends?
We've DTR'd. We've DTR'd.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, what's
So-
the D that you?
Well, the D.
What R did you D?
Let's get to the D. Come on now.
Always getting to the D. Yeah, like, we started being together a lot, and, you know, we were both able to say, like, I feel special about you. You know, it's just, like, special. And we were intimate in many ways. So, you know, there was all of that.
Fucking.
You bone.
Is that what you're talking about? Our words, not yours. So.
Intimate relationships.
Okay.
So but we, at the same time, and part of what, like, made me able to enter into this so quickly, because I was not expecting this to happen so quickly, having just come out to family and friends and the world like that in the last fall, not that long ago, and still being married to the woman I've been married to for almost 42 years. You know, what does this all mean? Part of the reason I was able to enter into it was because, like, the one thing we did talk about before we kind of really DTR'd was, like, neither one of us wants to change our lives radically. Like, you know, Sam likes his little house and Walter the Instagram cat, and he likes going home to that at the end of the day, and I like going back to my life, and, you know, so there was, like, just not that pressure, and yet we feel special toward each other, and there's kind of that culture around that, like, you know, so when are you going to talk about when you're going to be moving in together, and then when's this going to happen, when's that going to happen? So we have talked, and what we decided is, like, we're happy with just being together, but continuing our lives as they are. So we can enjoy, you know, going out together, doing things together, being intimate together, just hanging out, whatever. It's like, and have some significant feelings for each other. And I got to tell us one more part. Sorry, but just like this is one of the funny things that's happened to me as coming out as a late bloomer, coming out in my 60s. So I used to teach school, and I taught like from the 6th grade through middle school up to the early high school level.
Oh, you're a saint. That's a terrible age. Okay, go ahead.
God, that's the whole episode. But it was terrible, and I loved it. But one of the weird things is because those kids are now in their 30s and out doing life, and because of the world we have today with social media, I connected to a lot of them, and so some of them turned out to be gay, and some and they're married now and married to men and that, and so all to say, like, I found myself in the curious situation in 2 different cases where a 30-something guy is mentoring me in queer life. Like, this is the way it works. It's like, yes, tell me. I don't have any idea. And one of the things, like, both of these guys said to me is, like, you're going to see relationships can be a lot more fluid and a lot, different than the world that you came out of. Where there's like a path that you follow inevitably. And that's what I'm discovering. And that's what, kind of Sam and I are discovering together. So,
okay. You mentioned, like, I feel like because of what it's like to come out, and like, you kind of have to learn a lot after you come out. And so it's interesting you talk about being mentored by someone younger than you. So like, I guess just tell me a little bit about how you think about age. I mean, is that something that you think about often? Do you feel like you're just like a new gay? Do you feel that? Do you feel like you're still learning? Do you feel like you know everything now? Or I don't know, like what? How do you feel about age?
Well, I'm sure after I've spent this evening in the Gayish podcast home headquarters here, I will have learned everything I need to know.
Yes, we have all the information.
Get my graduate certificate.
Oh boy,
yeah.
We should make diplomas.
We should do a certificate program.
Yes.
You get certified in being gayish.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing that all of us listeners have learned over the 100+ episodes of this is that you guys got it all together.
Oh boy.
So
oh boy.
It's working though. It.
I need to interrupt to correct you, Mark.
My first Dan correction.
Yeah.
This is a special moment for me. Dan just fact-checked that.
Yeah. Rightfully.
Not even mad.
Yeah. So, what were we at?
Age?
Oh, yeah. No, it's a great question because, for one thing, I've always felt more connected with people younger than me. I look around at most people, not all, but most people my age, and I just don't feel a connection. And that's always been the case. And in my professional life and business like that, like just always my friendships have always been with people like 20 years or more younger than me. But also, yeah, like I've been such a gaby these last 8-9 months, because I do feel like I missed out on so much. And I feel like there's this whole culture, there's this whole world, and it's kind of cool. And I want to know the history of it. I want to know, all the parts of it and the culture of it, and I want to experience it. And there's a little bit of, I don't think about this a lot, but sure, there's a little bit of a ticking clock sounding in the back there. I'm blessed to have, be in good health and functioning and all that, and able to do things, experience things, but how much time do I have to do that, and how much time have I not done that? So there's a little bit of that.
And that's something I was curious about, because I, coming out at 20, am angry about the time I lost, about not being able to learn how to date and do all that stuff when all my friends did. Do you have that same feeling, or what are your feelings then about, I guess, how do you even think about that coming out at your age?
It gets really complicated for me because I love my family. I love, I wouldn't want to like have my coming out and then my 2 daughters and 6 grandkids like go poof, they disappear. Yeah. So like, that's all gone, so that is complicated. Like there is certain amount of thinking about that. Like, what would life have been like? But in some ways the reality I accept is that it couldn't happen till later because, again, the story that I told, in the 70s, like I didn't see any way. It was the place that I lived at that time that I'm almost selfishly happier that I went the way I did in some small part because I survived. I know kids in my class who either were out or outed back and then who literally did not survive it.
Wow.
Out of their 20s. So
but why is that? Because
suicide.
Suicide?
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, or HIV/AIDS. Right?
Yeah.
Like that.
It was a little too early for that. It happened, but like there's two guys at least in my school during the time I was in high school who took their lives in their 20es just because they couldn't. Yeah.
I'm going to daddy you for a second. Are you ready?
Ooh.
Okay. No, so I think I'm not a psychologist. Did you know this? I'm not a doctor, but
You play one on a podcast.
I think you're angry in there somewhere. The question is whether you've let yourself feel it or not. And when I think about you've only been out for 8 or 9 months, it feels like nothing. That's nothing for kids in their 20s or 30s, much less somebody who has lived as much as you have. Yeah. And so I think maybe be ready for it. I don't want that to be ominous, but like I think it's important to feel that. Like you have a whole bunch of mourning to do, even though this is the best, most positive thing ever, and better late than never for sure. I went through my own lesser version of this. There's
it sucks.
There's resentment and anger and sadness and regret in there somewhere. Yeah. I hope you find it, because if you don't,
you guys have.
It'll kill you.
I absolutely think you're right, and you guys have talked a lot about therapy, and really helped a lot of people. I know, because I talked to some of them. We have, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group. It is really one of the best groups.
We didn't tell him to say that, but thank you.
And become a Patreon member.
Instagram,
and become
Patreon.
Patreon. I hear this voice in my head. But we talk in the group, and I've formed friendships within the group. So, but Paul's become a dear friend, and we talk amongst ourselves, as I said. And part of that is like the things that you guys have been open about like therapy and about the issues of anger and the residuals and the resentments and the, regrets and things like that really help us. They really do. And they help us to think about those things. So one of the things I think about is, I should probably do therapy. I've never done it. And I've avoided it because I think of myself as a pretty well-adjusted person. I'm not depressed. I don't spend a lot of time in misery over things, but I know everything, Mike, what you're saying is true. It's all in there. I know.
And I feel like it's the people that we talked about the therapy episode, where it's like intelligent people almost need it more, because you're like, I'm able to reason through things and I'm pretty open and can think through things, but there's still something about having to go and talk to the person and like that you get realizations that you never thought you would. And one of those being, I feel like it's okay to, the fear is you don't want to say, I unwish my life and my daughters, and that's really important to you, but it's also okay to still be mad about the missed experiences you had, because and this is what I hope everyone does, is their anger is directed towards not themselves but society, because I think you're right. We talked a little bit about this, but you survived, so whatever you've done to this point, you did it right because you're alive here talking to us, and that's not every gay person. And
I think it's important to say too, to allow your people close to you, your family, to do that too. Before the show started, in our little talk, just chatting, this came up and talked about how this is not just my thing. I came out and I'm dealing with all this, and I had all this in my life like that. It's my whole family, because they came along with me, even though they didn't sign up for that. They didn't know that's the ride. So it's been, while everybody, my wife and my 2 daughters have been supportive and affirming and, positive to me in every way, they've still gone through a lot in these last 8 months. It's just confronting that for them too, there were things that were hidden and that were not what they thought they were. And what does that mean for them? And what does that mean about their own identity? And who is this guy that they were with for all these decades?
Yeah.
So, I want to acknowledge that and recognize that for them, that it's not just me, poor old me or whatever. It's, I brought other people into this, and that's something I have to deal with too.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for when you're in the closet. It's a separation to whatever degree. Like, you're in there, everybody else is out here.
Yeah.
And
You're the only one that has to deal with it at that point.
yeah, but it is a process for everybody involved, I guess, is the takeaway.
I know, and I know
so.
my parents had to mourn the loss of the son they thought they had and come to accept the new son. Like, everyone has to go through, and I think they went through the stages of grief. Like, I think everyone has to kind of go through that, dealing with the anger, depression, the whatever that they have of you coming out and
Drink alcohol before doing anal.
right.
Drink alcohol before doing anal.
Depression, anger, bargaining before doing depression again, double depression, double D. Before doing anal.
You forgot denial.
Anger, denial.
You're in denial about denial.
I deny your denial. I would like to completely change gears.
Okay.
Okay, what I wanted to seamless transition talk about is I looked up a little bit of data on the average age of coming out.
Ooh.
So, are you what's the name of that phenomenon where trains pass by? And
The Doppler effect.
Yeah, are you Dopplering? Okay, so 2 studies. The first one is by Stonewall, which is a UK-based LGBT group.
It's also a bar.
There's also other important things about that word. I'm assuming that's where it came from. But they did a poll of 1,500 people who were out, and this is in 2010. And there were 3 groups of people that they asked, when did you come out? And they asked people that were over 60, people that were in their 30s, and people that were 18 to 24 to figure out when they came out.
Okay.
Did you say K or gay?
Yes.
Gay, great. Gay. The gay.
Was the 18-24-year-old group measured in minutes?
Yes. How many minutes ago did you come out? And was this survey the moment you did it? Exactly.
Well, I think it's interesting this is like 10 years old because that number has been getting younger the more mainstream we get. And,
it's a lot like your hookups.
I keep getting older, they stay the same age. That's from Dazed and Confused.
All right.
I was also going to say the number keeps getting lower. You fucking last, Mike.
Like I ever fucked a bunch to begin with.
That's true. All right. Are you asexual?
I might be asexual. I'm not asexual. I'm not
Okay.
asexual.
You have sexual desires that don't get released. You're non-sexual.
You can live without it sometimes?
I can and have and do and will.
You have to. It's not an option in your
We're
life.
in the
Sometimes.
6th month of the year.
Yeah.
And have you had sex yet?
Yes.
Oh.
How many times?
Not asexual, if he said that.
With
if he did
whom?
that answer.
With whom? How many butts have you put your ding-a-ling inside?
0.
Okay.
Wow. How many ding-a-lings have been inside you?
Not just my butt.
Oh, okay. Butt and mouth and ear.
Or
4.
whatever weird places you
At
put
the
it.
same night or a different night?
No.
Would you ever get railed by a bunch of guys? Like, is that an attractive
Yes.
fantasy to you?
Oh, was the question for me?
Would you want to be in a gangbang? Does that sound fun to you?
I don't know.
You're so I don't.
Does it sound fun? No, it sounds terrifying.
But in a fun, sexy, terrifying. I think it's a fun and terrifying. Okay, sorry. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about this study.
There are moments in this podcast that I'm so glad to be ignored.
Oh yeah, we didn't, Mark. We didn't get into your detailed desires
sorry, Mark.
about.
Would you like to be in a gangbang?
If this turned
Tonight?
into a gangbang,
I could call some people.
I could call fingers 1 through 5. I don't know. I can fuck you one at a time.
I mean, you have 10. What are the other 5 doing?
They're watching.
Are you offering to fist somebody now?
No. Just individually digit them.
Okay.
One by one by one by one by one. Okay.
Speaking of numbers,
Which one was your favorite?
Probably I feel like middle is the longest, but like you got too much going on around it to really get deep in there. So I feel like it has to be pointer. That's really, you got your flexibility. Okay. So the people, what?
Boy Scout salute, best of both worlds.
Oh, you're right. That's fair. Middle and
you get dexterity of the index finger and the length of the middle finger.
I'm glad that there was a correct answer to that question. It was like, let me. Okay, here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's this thing.
Yeah.
The ones that were 18 to 24, their average age of coming out, again in 2010, average age of coming out was 17. The people in their 30s, their average age of coming out was 21.
Okay.
And the people over 60s, their average age that they came out was 37.
Wow.
So it's really interesting that, like, I mean, that is a big age gap in the people that they asked, but also a big age gap in the age they were that they came out. Like, what?
There's also an age gap in the numbers you just shared. What happened to people in their 40s and their 50s?
They weren't.
None of them ever came out.
They weren't gay. No, they just stayed in the closet.
You haven't heard of the Great Gay Gap?
They all died of AIDS, I think, is probably what actually happened.
Does that math that up?
Oh, pour out some of my wine
correctly.
Oh, God.
Wait, okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
Let's personalize it a little bit. Do you like? How does that match up to your personal sample? Like, you have, I assume you have friends.
Obviously, I've skewed it because I came out at 61. So.
Right. But you have friends in their 60s, and like, are they all late bloomers also, or do you know, like, do you have a lot of friends in their 60s that have been out forever and life is grand?
But I don't know. That's a great question. I didn't do the statistical analysis on it, but
do it right now.
I think it's probably the ones I can think of offhand. Accurate that they came out later in life than generally we hear about people doing today or being able to do today.
And is that something, I didn't even think about this until you just said that. It seems like a lot of the coming out stories, which I'm done with movies about coming out or TV, like I just don't, it's not interesting to me anymore. I feel like people have done it, but I'm just also realizing that that's usually a certain age that's someone in their mid-20s or earlier. Do you feel like late bloomers are represented in media? Do you see stories?
I can't think of one.
Transparent comes to mind.
Haven't seen that.
Just what's that guy's name?
Douchebag
douchebaggery. Yeah.
No wonder he didn't come out.
Jeffrey Tambor.
Jeffrey Tambor. Yeah.
His character comes out as trans well after his children have grown.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, and then there's Frankie and Grace, is that what it's called? The Netflix series with the two men,
which is about
husbands.
About Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda.
But they're two,
like their
husbands
and
come out
Sam
and get
Waterston
married.
and
we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, this is so wow. And Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
Martin
Sheen's gay.
And it's Grace and Frankie.
And we're going to start some rumors. Boy, howdy. But
it's interesting you mention that because is it Frankie and Grace or Grace and Frankie? Grace and Frankie. My younger daughter, during the conversations post coming out, texted me one night and she said, like, I'm watching Grace and Frankie on Netflix, and she says it's really helping me.
Oh.
So I thought that was interesting. The media thing, like it gave her a way to identify with these people. And I think it was helpful to my wife, too, because she's watched it. Just seeing these women. I'm sure she can identify, even though it's a comic series, that there's women who are suddenly, like, plunged into this situation. Right?
Yeah.
I wonder if what we need as a society is a really, really famous character that everybody knows and loves that then, like, in season 4 comes out of the closet. Like, would that move the dial for the culture? Like,
Bert and Ernie?
If Tony Soprano came out of the closet in season 6, like, what kind of an impact would that have
Well, he'd
on?
be dead, but
Oh, what season did he die?
They killed the one gay character that they had.
Oh,
right,
really?
right.
I had never watched that.
Spoiler, sorry.
No, I didn't watch The Sopranos.
But you're saying, like, all the coming out things are like the premise of the show, or it's like it happens up front versus like
we need to trick straight people into loving a character before they come out,
I
so
thought
that they
that's
have to go through the journey.
that's what we all did.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Who got laughed off of TV in the 90s because we were a bigoted culture that was not ready.
I think that's what we did with Neil Patrick Harris. We planted him from a young age as being very lovable.
Doogie Howsered everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, I think we could use more people coming out later in life and stories about them, and that makes the like I'm so bored of the coming out stories, mostly because like it just seems so boring and unoriginal and says that's all there is about life, but it's also always coming from that one perspective of a white cis dude coming out when he's 18. And so
I think it has something to do with like it's part of the reason I said earlier that I don't generally identify with people of my age. And I think part of the reason when I think about why is that is because most people that I know that are my age never change. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I don't know why. I can't brag about it because I don't understand even why. But both my wife and I have been people who have evolved in significant ways over the decades. We are not at all who we were 10, 20, 30 years ago. Yeah. So we're kind of used to that. Like we're used to, change is never easy, but we're kind of used to making change. And I think if you can be a person that doesn't get freaked out by change, in fact, embraces change and welcomes it as a great part of life and a part of growing and being alive, it's a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also do not look your age.
Ooh, thank you.
Wait, better or worse?
I wouldn't have said anything if it wasn't better.
I don't know.
I was very surprised when you don't look your age at all. You have amazing skin. I'm not coming on to your man.
Sam and I are very open, so we have
so you can come on, Sam's man.
I'm currently polysaturated.
Oh, that's true. That's beautiful.
That is
I like that.
Did we talk about that we talked about it on the episode that didn't air. Man, the lost footage. Okay. The second study that I'm now going to talk about.
Great.
Because I talked about the first one. This is a Pew study, so more recent, 2013.
Pew, pew.
Thank you, Mike. More recent. Mike, you should make noises, and then we can be like, Mark, what noise? Mark, why did you do that? That's so weird that you as a guest would
I told you to be mostly quiet.
Mike, make orgasm noises. It'll be funny. Okay, no, don't. Pew.
That's Mike. Stop. Not that Mike.
Mike, stop it.
Oh, I'm turning red. I can feel it.
Okay, Pew survey 2013. They surveyed Americans, which, as we all know, are better than British people. So this is more relevant. They surveyed a bunch of different kinds of people, and this is the image that I want to share. So this is more about just recently. They talked to gay men, lesbians, and bisexuals. Sorry, trans people, you're out. We don't.
Unless they're bisexual.
Well, right, but
or gay
or lesbians. But it's just I always see like we don't have data on trans people, and we say
rarely
LGBT,
have data on bi people. So
yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Two groups we erase most commonly. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go again because they're not in this study anyway. But what they said is, what is the age they first thought they were gay, lesbian, or bisexual? What age they knew for sure, and what age they told someone. Who do you think in all those numbers? Who do you think was the youngest out of those three groups?
Gays.
The youngest people are gay men, so they, on average,
boom.
Yeah, Mike.
Fucking nailed it.
I know. I don't know why I play the guessing game with you because it's never fun for me. I just don't enjoy it, and I just keep doing it.
Well, that makes two
it's
of
like
us,
anal
so
sex.
stop.
Okay, they are on average 10 years old when they first thought, 15 years old when they knew for sure, and 18 when they told someone.
Wow.
For lesbians, they were 13 when they first thought it, 18 when they knew for sure, and 21 when they first told someone, which that's the oldest ages. Lesbian is the older side for most of the numbers. And then bisexual people, it was 13 when they first thought, 17 when they first knew, or they knew for sure, and 20 when they told someone. So it's really interesting that, like, while bisexual as an identity on its own is absolutely valid and a thing people will be permanently, I do think a lot of gay people go through saying they're bisexual to what?
It's not permanent. There's a distinction that needs to be made here.
Oh, I mean, it's fluid. And
sexual orientation can and does change over time.
Yeah.
You just can't force it to change. So it is not immutable.
I would wish you were mutable.
Dan has his finger poised over the mute button.
I know.
while
You
you're
can,
playing
Dan
at
has
home.
the control over
I
this.
don't remember who's number one and who's number two.
I'm number
though.
one.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I really am.
He insists on it.
I remember when he first started, and I was like, I shall be number one. That's the most confident I've ever been in my life. Yes. Okay. But what I'm saying is, like, some people come out as bisexual and they're still figuring themselves out, and eventually they will come out as gay. Other people, like bisexual, like they will probably like identify for a long time as bisexual, and that's definitely an identity in its own. So like what I guess I'm surprised. I would think bisexual would be younger when you first thought that you were bisexual.
Oh, interesting.
So,
okay.
You know,
So I think that this is touching on being gay, being a gay man is the most threatening to society. That as a culture, it's all about the dick, and it's all about what the dick is doing, and it's all about, like, there's just this phallocentric horse shit that's built into our culture. And to be a gay man is so much more fraught with danger for the person going through it, I think. Like, a lesbian might kind of think to themselves, oh, I'm kind of into chicks. But for whatever reason, my perception is that lesbians are less threatening to American culture.
Yeah, I mean, when dudes run things, they see ladies together and they're like, hot, sweet, you know, like...
And women are more fluid sexually, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But, it seems like there's less pressure there, and even less so for bi people, because there's, in the back of their mind, they have to be aware that, like, they can take the quote-unquote easy route and just be straight, because that's a luxury or privilege that's afforded to them.
And I know what you mean, but also, even if they are in a same or a opposite gender relationship, they are still bisexual.
For sure.
That's an important... I know what you mean. Quote unquote, be straight.
But they can have the appearance of being straight.
Have
I
the
think
appearance.
what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's like the pressure is off in a way, or like they can kind of take their own damn time on.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
Saying something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Should we take a break?
Yeah. Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Break.
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
Break.
I've waited so long to say that.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Okay. I'm ready.
I'm ready. You're in control of this.
Right, so are we back?
We're back.
Oh, we're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
I've never been back before.
I've never been in this moment.
Been on my back. Sorry.
We're gonna do our gays and straightest.
We're going to do our gays and straightest, but first, Mark.
I did not write the theme song.
Plug things. Plug.
A special thank you.
But you can thank me.
What if people want to find you or anything that you want to share with everyone?
So finding me is embarrassingly easy, super easy. Google my name and spell it right, and I'm the first page of Google. So you'll find all my social media, Mark Traphagen.
Ah, shit! I mispronounced your last name then, and I just now realized it.
Oh,
Traphagen?
It's Traphagen. So the P and the H is so accent on the first syllable.
Got it.
No, it's great because I always know when it's a telemarketer. They suicide the name.
Yeah.
But Traphagen is how to say it. And yeah, so just Google Mark Traphagen. You'll find all my social media. I'm active there. Love to engage with you. I'm very active in the Facebook group, the Gayish Facebook group, which I'd love to plug and promote. Definitely will plug and promote the Patreon membership. It was so worth it. Like what you get in those extra episodes is totally worth it, folks. Get those.
Yeah.
And Mark just did a great job of giving us some premium fucking content for Patreon. So if you want to hear the things that he couldn't share on the main episode, you pay some money, bitch.
I'm a podcast whore tonight.
Yeah.
So slutty.
Yeah, and one last thing, if I could. So my special person, Samuel Peterson. The book is Trunky, Transgender Junkie. You can Trunky. Find it on Amazon. Buy it. Tell your friends about it. Share it. It is. I guarantee you, it will be one of the most enjoyable, frightening, stunning, moving reads of your life. It was for me. It's one of the many reasons why I'm so glad he's in my life, and I really, really want you all to read that.
Awesome. I feel like most of us, or we all just, I have it pulled up right now and 5-star reviews on Amazon. So
I'm ordering it as we
and
speak.
Dana's ordering it right now. So
guys.
yeah, Trunky, Trunky. We have stuff to. Well, you already did half of the shit we wanted to do, so that's just do what Mark says.
Our website is gayishpodcast.com.
All the social media is at Gayish Podcast or /Gayish Podcast. There's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Yeah. Period.
Reddit.
We are on Reddit.
We are?
Yeah. We have a Reddit profile that I post our episodes to.
Do you have TikTok videos yet?
No, we're not that into the social media scene where we post TikTok videos to Reddit to try to promote TikTok, because that's what I feel like they're doing. Any whomsels, yeah, we're on Reddit. I'm like very active on Reddit, and then I reply to other podcasts that are like, hey, what do I do? Or whatever.
God, I'm so glad there's a you, so I don't have to be that.
This is like that Taylor Swift song. Don't you know that?
Our hotline.
Without you, there ain't no me.
Our hotline. You can send us text.
Sorry, Dan hovered his finger over muting me. What I go too far is when Dan is like, I might mute you. I might pull this executive privilege and mute you right now.
I wish all of you at home could see how many times Dan hovers his finger over Kyle's mute button.
Our hotline. You can send us text
Is that a
messages.
euphemism?
No. It's a me-phemism.
You can finger my mute button. Okay. Our hotline. You can leave us text messages or voicemails. Is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
And our email address is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
Gayest and straightest. Mark, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay. Lay it on us.
I'm first. I obviously I could certainly go to my gayest just being on the Gayish podcast. That would be a little too on the nose.
I love the idea of the gayest thing you've done is be on this podcast, but no, just you can tell us.
So, but I did have one this past week. So, my straightest is very typical for straightest things, like because I fixed something. I managed to fix the broken connection on our backyard garden hose. Like very, very proud of that. Went to Lowe's and did the whole thing. I fixed like that.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did with that hose connection once I finished it, though, is my gayest, which is that I sprayed the water in the air trying to create a rainbow in the air to take a picture of for Instagram, and almost ruined my iPhone.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. All
Worth
about
it.
the right Insta pic, for sure.
I did it for pride.
I know.
That's right.
That's super gay. That's beautiful. I'll go. My gayest thing is I had a dream in which Tina Fey appeared. What? Oh shit! I don't.
You
care.
can't. You can't give it. I have a
copyrighted?
dream
I
speech.
can't
Yes.
start with. Well, I don't care if men are equal.
Okay, great.
I only care about myself. No, I had a dream that in which Tina Fey appeared, and she really just gave me some encouraging words and told me to keep continuing on my writing journey.
Aww.
And I, as my personal hero and idol, that was it's just who. Only a gay moment is Tina Fey appeared to me and said, keep doing what you're doing.
When are we going to have her on the show?
Oh my God.
You would lose your shit.
Fucking die. I would ask her about every joke that she's ever written on 30 Rock and how she thought of it, and I would want to hug her gently. My straightest thing, I was just traveling for work, and when I stay in my hotel room, I feel very... I don't want anyone to come in, like maids to come in, and like I kind of like have my space that no one goes into, and it's just, it kind of like gets messy, but in the like the messy way that I know how to deal with because it's my mess. And that feels very straight guy of just like having this fucked up room that like I'm living and existing in and don't want people to see. So that's my straightest moment. Mike.
The straightest thing about me this week is my bedroom, which is just
I saw it.
Ridiculous right now, but especially ridiculous because I just put all the clean laundry on my bed and then slept in it, like with my laundry. So
did you cuddle your laundry?
Yep, cuddle in my own laundry. But yeah, very straight guy. I agree with you. Just like just having shit's real fucked up.
Yeah, but I'm living in it.
But I'm living in it.
And don't care. Don't tell me, nay.
Yeah, don't tell my mom either because her room's just as bad.
Oh.
And then the gayest thing about me this week. So Big Fatty on his show regularly talks about his friend Casey. He talks about us too.
Yeah,
but
he played the clip of me saying I don't like personal journal or personal diary podcasts, which is like most of Pride 48. So I mean I don't feel bad because it's my truth.
Yeah,
but I feel a little bit bad because now they know. Any hoomsels.
Well, and then also on the last State of the Station for Pride 48, they were like auctioning off who got to bang us, which that was uncomfortable. Anyway,
I was turned on, but that's fine.
Big Fatty talks about his friend Casey in Denver and how enormous his penis is, and that's the word. Enormous is the word, and I think I get the sense that Big Fatty's seen some dicks. And knows.
Big Fatty has been around the cock.
Yeah, he knows. So
he's rocked around the cock.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. And so I called into his show and I said I did an Ask Big Fatty because like you call and you say like cue the music and he plays music and then you ask him a question, he gives his silly answer. But I said, how is Casey in Denver? Is he coming to Pride 48? Do you think he would want to meet me? Spelled MEAT.
Wink.
Then on Friday, so just like 2 days ago on Big Fatty's show, he played a clip and it's Casey in Denver and he says, "Hey, Mike from Gayish, how you doing?" And then he played like sexy music. And
is Big Fatty your pimp now?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I just like I started ovulating. So we'll see what happens. Is this a possibility? Is this a story you can relate to us later? Can you record your sexual intercourse with Casey and we can air it on an episode, a very special, explicit episode? If he's down, I might be. We'll see.
If he's over 10 inches, who gets the money?
If he's over 10 inches and I pay him, is that prostitution?
No, it's just friends giving friends what they need.
Money
and that's
for
money
dick.
and dick. That's fine. It's totally legal if you phrase it like that.
We call it sex work, not prostitution.
That's true.
In New Orleans is probably fine. Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you to Mark Traphagen.
Traphagen. Yeah, fuck. Traphagen.
We learned nothing else in this episode. We learned how to pronounce my name.
Your
That's
name.
right.
And P and an H don't always make a th.
That's right.
It's like a real like life lesson, you know?
Yeah.
Any hoomsels. Thanks, Mark, for being on. Thank you to Mike Johnson for the use of our theme music. And thank you to everyone who considers themselves a late bloomer. You're super important, and we're glad to have you in our community.
Great.
Are you going to say something dicky and sarcastic now? Because that's what I'm waiting for. Okay. Nah. Okay. Mike is even likes you, so that says something. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's it. This has been Gayish. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Aloha.
Why did that get so turned on when you said that? You said it very sexily.
I feel like a teenager all over again. You know, it's Yeah.